Yo, 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 yo. The Earlverse in the house. Just thought I'd do a impromptu Earlverse late night. I know a lot of my East Coasters are sleeping right now. What up, ACDC? And now I'm used to calling you 5150, but it's all good. It's just you and me in here, baby. But in my never-ending quest, shalom, shalom, to break into the YouTube algorithm, I'll do a stream for 2 people. 3 people now. What up, brother? Well, all right, we got some people in there. We got some heads in there. Some heads are gonna roll. So, I know someone must have canceled. To be on the full disclosure, they messaged me about 3 p.m. So, can you close out the original room show? And I said, yes, I can, following the lovely and talented Sarah Wineshank. So, still got a couple hours to kill. I mean, not many people could put up with the hours of a stand-up comic. I mean, I've got 2 hours and 40 minutes to kill before I go to the Comedy Store, and Thursday nights are pretty cool there, though. You've got the long-running Black show in the Belly Room on Thursdays, so I get to see the iconic Uncle Levi. Yes, business is business. When the Comedy Store calls, baby, you jump. And I would have told the girl, hey, we can go to dinner, but I got to do this spot because this spot will help pay for future dinners. What up, Biggie 21? Uncle Levi is only really iconic in the LA comedy community. He's been running the Black show. I mean, it's not called the Black show. It's tripping on. No, it's called Crack 'em Up on Thursday nights. And he's been running that show for, my God, 20 plus years. So he is a black dude. He looks like a black vampire. Like, just looks like a character in a Tarantino movie. And we don't know each other that well. It's really a comedy relationship, but he's someone who has always been very nice to me. So I enjoy seeing him. And no doxing yourself. Are you ready to rock? It's been a big day in the world of doxing and on the internet. So I don't know many Levi's, to be honest with you. Brian Landon. It is Earl. I am Earl, king of the late night world. Hey, hit the like button, man. There's 8 people in here and only 4 likes. I'll stop this fucking stream right now. Just kidding. 7 people in there. I mean, I've done a stream for less. Did they separate? I didn't know. Is that breaking news? I've been conducting some business today. I'm excited because on Instagram today, MVP followed me. I'm mid WC game. I don't know what it means. Are you ready to rock? Are you back on the sauce? Dr. Chow Mega G. What up? I didn't know that. I mean, who knows? It's probably been basically an arranged marriage for a long time now. I mean, he cheats more than a a Jewish guy on his taxes. Hello, what up, Fitzpatrick in the house? Are you doing Hackmania again? I would. I had a good time. I mean, I would probably be a little more, I mean, not forward, but a little more transparent with Melton about, hey, I'm just going to do the stand up. I really did get a Saturday night spot at the Comedy Store, like, as I was driving up to Vegas, and, a Saturday night spot at the store is about 800 bucks if it's sold out, and that particular night it was, because you split the door with the comics, and the Comedy Store, they do pay well. It ain't perfect up there, but, they do pay well. I mean, in regards to, I mean, Melton treated me right. I know he's a controversial figure with some, but I'll be blunt, he treated me good. Did everything he said he would. Actually paid more than he said he would. And I even said, "Hey, man, I know you booked me a hotel for 3 days, and I'm only here for 1 day. You cannot pay me. I'm an honorable guy, or just pay me for 1 day, or whatever." And he paid me as if I stayed there all 3 days. So I would do it again. I mean, in terms of going on last, I would go on last again. I mean, listen, it's just the roll of the dice that the guy before me bombed, and I'm not singling him out. We all bomb. Um, I mean, I don't bomb that much anymore, but I've certainly done it, and felt bad for the person going on after me. But um, I'm so used to going. Like tonight, I'm going on last, and when you get to that point of the lineup, Thursday night, the crowd's probably a little tired. They probably were at work, today. They probably got to go to work tomorrow morning. And it's a tough crowd because they want to leave. And one bad joke, they leave. So who went for you? I don't know. Someone said the other day in the stream, Vito the pedo, Vito. I don't know him, but he took a risk. He started doing pedophile jokes, and they just weren't hitting. I mean, those jokes either kill or they don't. There's nothing. There's no in the middle with that type of material. And uh, that crowd really wasn't there for the stand up. To be honest with you, they wanted to see Ray and the Dabbleverse people and Carl and all that shit. So I would drive there at night. I will never drive to Vegas on a Friday afternoon ever again. And I know some people in the crowd that night did not like me talking about the drive so much, but fuck, man, it was a 7-hour fucking drive. I almost turned around at one point because I was like, this just ain't worth it. Um, but I had a good time. I mean, I got to meet a bunch of people I'd never met before. I met Carl, and I think Tio Hank I met. Just like it was nice to put a face to the names that we all see in chat rooms, and met Michaela, and yeah, I know about 10 years ago, me and Melton were on a show at the Ice House, one of Red Band's shows, but I don't remember talking to him. So really, Acamania was the first time I met Melton, and he was nice to me, and um, Carl and his brother and his wife were nice to me, and who else? A couple other people in the dabble world that I got to perform with and meet, and got KB. She's amazing, and then I was just running on empty. But I got to see my friends at the Dirty at 12:30, which is the longest running show in Vegas. It's at South Point Casino, and Gabe Lopez. I mean, he's run that show for, my God, forever. So overall, I would change my travel schedule a little bit for sure. And the hotel was nice. I mean, it was in a shitty part of town. I mean, I would not walk around that part of town. We don't talk about that in here. I'd rather talk about the doxing that went on today. We don't. This isn't uh, a replay of I don't know, Kumi's Cucks for that shit. Um, so I'm assuming there's going to be a Hackamania too, but it's a lot of work, to be honest with you, to put on these things, and especially to do it in Vegas because you're asking. I would say the Dabbleverse is mainly Midwest and East Coast people. So you're asking everyone to come out here. That's why I didn't do what up, Ben Dover. Are you new to the stream? I don't recall ever seeing a Ben Dover in the stream, but welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. That's why I didn't do oh, Tio Hank, you say his name and it just pops up. Yeah, it was nice meeting you. I think you put me on the phone with Kevin Brennan. He wanted on-site intel. You're in the middle of it, Holmes. Shit. Uh, but that's why I didn't do. What was the original thing Shuley did? What was it DabbleCon? I was invited to do that when it was in Rochester, and I think it was like -2 degrees. And Shuley was like, "Hey, well, we'll pay you. I'm not sure what, but I knew he would have taken care of me, but I'm like, I'm not flying literally to the opposite end of the country for a couple $100. So I get why, someone in New York's like, I'm not going to Hackamania in Vegas, but Vegas is a selling point. Like it is a fun city. And if you're a night owl like me, if I wasn't so tired that night, I would have burned the midnight oil. But um, and then the drive back was no joke because it was for some reason there was a lot of traffic on Saturday afternoon going back to LA. Usually it's Sunday afternoon or Monday where that happens. And then so that took me probably 2 hours extra, and then it was the gay parade in West Hollywood, and, um, to I'm gonna throw out some local intersections here, so you guys probably will be a little lost, but, um, like, to get from La Cienega and Olympic to my house, that's a 5-minute drive. Like, if I did that drive right now, it would take me 5 minutes. That day when I got on La Cienega and Olympic, because they shut down Santa Monica Boulevard, it took me an hour and 20 minutes because they block off all the streets and the cops are hardcore. They're like universal soldiers. I'm like, hi, I live at Larrabee in Santa Monica. They're like, great. And I showed them my driver's license with the address on it, and they're like, great. We're not allowing you in. And so, I should have planned it uh, better. I mean, I probably should have stayed that Saturday, but I just, the podcasts that were going on, I just, like I said, I don't have a lot to add to the Dabbleverse talk. So I was just like, and plus I can't pass up on an $800 gig at the store. But I certainly understand why Melton was frustrated with me, but I would do it again. I would do it when Earl Skakel's money because when Earl Skakel's money, it was kind of like a nicer Kill Tony. Like, there were some really funny Vegas comics. And really nobody bombed that bad. So I had a good time, and I think and we gave away money. Like it was legit. There were some comics who got paid, I think, $200 that probably in, 5 years of Vegas open mics hadn't made that money. So that felt good. Well, I don't know. Are you kidding me, Brian? Or are you asking me seriously? Yeah, 100%. He did say that, and that's fine. I don't beg people to think I'm funny. If you think I'm funny, great. If you don't think I'm funny, what can I do? Like me begging you, I'm funny, motherfucker. I will say when the guy said that, I'm like, come on stage and say it. He didn't do shit. I gave a troll an opportunity to come on stage and say it, and but that's fine. I don't even know who said that, to be honest with you. Yeah, the AFC is. Oh, seriously. Oh, Kevin Brennan released Sarah Silverman's phone number. I mean, I started getting calls at like 7:45 in the morning. Hey, go on Twitter, and I'm like, I didn't want anything to do with the situation because Sarah has the same manager as Jeff, and I didn't want any fucking one thinking I was like a conduit in that situation. Um, yeah, AFC North. I mean, the Steelers should beat a 2-8 team, but when the weather's like that, you know, you throw out the records, and I'm not a Steeler homer. Like, you know, I'm sure they got away with some calls, but on that last Hail Mary pass, if you watch the last play of the game, the guy who was covering Pickens was basically pushing him out of bounds, which I get, but like that has to be pass interference. And although Pickens was nowhere near the ball, I mean, that guy was not playing the ball. He was literally shoving Pickens out of bounds. Um, um, so I thought, well, that should be pass interference or something. But I mean, listen, this there's so much parity in the NFL that the Steelers will probably have a record of 12-5. I could see, although their last couple weeks are brutal because they're all division games. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I mean, I don't like the two quarterback system they're using. I mean, now it's pretty much Russell Wilson, but I mean, shit, they were 4-2 with Fields, and here's the crazy thing. Next year, neither one of these guys is under contract. So it's going to be interesting because, this year the Broncos are basically paying Wilson's contract. So, and then, I would think Fields would be the long-term choice, but like, do you re-sign Wilson? It's too early. Chili boots, boots. I mean, I think the Steelers will make the playoffs. I mean, it's real tight. I mean, the Chiefs don't look. I mean, I know they're what are they, 8-1 or something, but they look. I don't know. I mean, obviously they're a very good team, but there's something off about them this year. It is a cold business, 100% there. As Kevin would say, that's a fact, Jack. And you got a team like the Bills who, if they play well, who knows? So, there's so many teams who are like in the middle, that, one week they play good, and next week they lose to it, I mean, the Steeler defense is great, but the offense, it's really not much better under Arthur Smith than it was under Matt Canada. I mean, the Lions look great. I mean, they are the new greatest show on turf. So, I mean, in the NFC, they look real good. I mean, I could see a Lions Chiefs Super Bowl. I mean, but because like I could see the Steelers and the Chiefs in the conference final, but the Steelers are gonna have to score. Like, you just can't rely on the defense, man. Talking about football, Peter Chicken Man Brennan, your brother had a wild day today, brother. Talking about football, did you ever play catch during the dead years at the store? Yeah, me and Dave Taylor used to sling the rock, and then I think probably the best athletic events at the store were, if you remember, the House of Blues. So to the right of the House of Blues, there was a billboard. There's a big billboard. What up, Bones Jones? And there was a lemon tree somewhere nearby. So someone would go to the lemon tree with a bucket, take out all the lemons off the tree, and we'd stand, if you're familiar with the Comedy Store parking lot, like, say where Rogan would park, which was where Mitzi would park, and we could see who could hit the billboard. It was a sizable toss. I mean, you even though it was a lemon, you really and Dave Taylor was like Randy Johnson. He hit the billboard every time. Um, so yeah, Lions are yeah, I mean, listen, it's like the hockey playoffs. Anything can happen. I mean, the last year the Kings won the cup, their second cup. Uh, they were down 3-0 to the Sharks in the first round, and then they came back and did the reverse sweep, and then they won the cup. Mercy Earl is sexy, my goodness. Well, thank you, Bendover. We welcome all sexualities in here, and this is me with no makeup on. No. Let me see. I mean, me and O'Neill used to throw wadded up uh, paper towels against Eprovaya in the OR on Monday nights, and those things kind of hurt, to be honest with you. I love Kenny Aronoff. I took a picture of him the couple months ago. He was walking outside of a restaurant with a friend, and he's like, "Hey, will you take our picture?" I'm like, "Yeah, man. I read your book. I got a little lost on the drumming talk, but a great book." I mean, the NFL is going to be wild. I mean, there's probably 8 to 10 teams who have a legit shot, and another 3 to 4 who, if things are rolling, baby. Um, Oceanside, California. Yeah, I would go there. I mean, MVP just followed me today. I was the day got off to a good start. Um, I was at my yoga studio this morning, and this girl is talking to me afterwards, and she's like, "You have a fantastic voice. Have you ever been brought in for Family Guy?" I'm like, "No, I'd love to." She's like, "Well, I work on the show. Let me see what I can do." So who knows? You might see me and Seth MacFarlane on the red carpet, baby. I like Kenny Aronoff. He drummed on a Cinderella album. You could put Kenny Aronoff in Slayer, and you wouldn't know the difference. Like if you just were listening, not looking. Um, I mean, I don't know, how well attended that will be, to be honest with you. I mean, I went to the AEW in Bakersfield, and it was a brutal crowd. I mean, it was a half-empty arena, and um, and it was a great card. You had like Osprey on it, Malachi Black. Um, I mean, some of their bigger names, and it was still like a half-empty. So I don't know if I would go to Oceanside. But but so's the Bakersfield Arena. It's where the Bakersfield Condors play. So I would say, I mean, maybe 5 to 7,000 people, and I would guess maybe there were 2,000 people there. But it was kind of neat to go home and watch it on television because they made it seem like it was packed. And there's the tricks of the trade when you're watching TV and you see the dark. They don't curtain off; they just darken the lights so you can't see the empty seats. Is the Family Guy another King of the Hill incident? No, we don't talk about Randy Stone in here, Chicken Man. The Stoner. I was telling someone that story today. How every time I watch X Files after the incidents, that I would always see like a guy, good-looking guy, playing like the UPS guy or the small town hotel clerk, and they'd have like one line. I'm like, that could have been me. I could have been the UPS guy. AEW blacks out the top level. Well, I mean, WWE does that too when they don't sell out, and they do that in concerts too. They just put the black tarp over the seats. Did Randy Stone ever even? Well, that's where I met him. I'll never forget. Back in the day when I first started in comedy, there was a lot of comedy shows in Beverly Hills at bars. They would usually put the stage up front, people drink at the bar, they'd watch the comedy, and, I think I did this was, like, maybe '99, and I'd done a joke about the movie Clueless. I forget what it was, but, he came up to me afterwards and said, "Oh, you're really funny," and, I was, like, pretty new into comedy, so, uh, he's like, "Hey, do you wanna meet" I think I've told the story before, but he's like, "Hey, do you wanna meet Brittany Murphy tomorrow?" I'm like, "Huh?" And that's how they lure you in, that's how these fucking creeps do it, and, sure enough, I met her, but, like, he dangled it and because he thought I was gonna play with his pee-pee. And then I gave him a second chance, and he doubled down, and I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here, man!" And he still called me after that, like, you know, I guess I wasn't that desperate, but fuck it, maybe I should have done it. Hello, I mean, I don't remember. I mean, he definitely was grooming me. He took me in the golf cart around the studio with Kathy Najimy, who was a pretty big deal back then because I think she was in that movie Hocus Pocus, and she was always on TV shows. I think she was in King of the Hill, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, so that just goes to show you the dangle, the little carrot they put in front of a horse. But I'll give him this: he did introduce me to Brittany Murphy, so there was that, and we had a vibe, to be honest with you. But Randy shooed me away from her when he saw me locking in. He's like, "Come on, man, that's my guy, Fish." Um, when he said, "You get to," well, here's the funny thing. I'll never forget it. Like, so, I go into his office. He starts taking his pants off. I'm like, "Where's Brittany Murphy, bro?" And so we go next door, and I believe it might have been the pilot read for King of the Hill. And I might be mistaken. Maybe it was season two, but it was the first episode of whatever season they were in. And I remember walking in, and this fucking guy switches into his pajamas. I mean, he was a little eccentric, to be honest with you. And we go in there, and it's packed. There's Brittany Murphy, there's Mike Judge, and whoever else was on the show. And I remember now. I think back they probably thought I was his boyfriend. You think Randy, Louis Anderson, and Josh Nasser ever partied together? Now, come on, now we don't know that about Nasser. I mean, why do you say that, Chicken Man? The Van Dutch jeans, the white Hummer, or the bedazzled jewelry, and the tan, the sunset tan, looking like Devin from Sunset Tan with the frosted tips. We don't know that. Um, but that's just and like I was telling the girl today about the story because she had a Me Too story as well. So we're kind of swapping Me Too stories. Um, but it just goes to show you, like, I never really thought it was wrong. I just chalked it up to, it's just part of the fucking business. But then once the Rose McGowan stuff came out, I I was oh, that was kind of fucked up. Barry. So we don't talk about Barry Sobel in here unless we're reviewing Revenge of the Nerds 2 Back in Paradise. Give me that 38 special song. I don't think I've ever told the stream this. I was in a 38 special video 1991, The Sound of Your Voice. I played one of the football players. And the funny thing is, I think I lied and said I played pro football or something. And so I got the part. I mean, I was a pretty big dude back then, but to show you how big these guys were, I was the smallest guy in this video. I mean, they're all fucking jacked. I think there was a couple of American Gladiators and just like giant dudes. And we actually played a football game. We played, and of course, we had to redo a couple plays and whatnot. But so if you watch that video, The Sound of Your Voice, 38 special, I think it was 1991. Um, it's very realistic, the football scenes. And, so it was a long day, and it was like a 16-hour day. So me and this gigantic dude are walking off last. and the producer or director, whoever this guy was, goes, "Hey guys, we need you for one more thing. We need you to tackle each other. We need to hear the noises of tackling and the grunting and whatnot." And this guy, in 1991, I was probably, 6'1" or 6'2", so the same height I am now, but I was probably 210 and jacked, like no body fat, and I never roided or anything, but I was fucking huge for a non-steroid guy. And this guy was probably 6'5", 250, not muscular. He was just a big boy. And man, I was hurting, because he basically tackled me. I think we tried one play where I tackled him, and it's not. They're like, guys, we need to hear noise. So why don't you tackle Earl? Yeah, I mean, it's a good song. I'm not really that familiar with 38 Special outside their giant hits. I mean, they had a nice run in the '80s, Hold On Loosely, If I'd Been the One. I mean, they had that one album where they had like 3 or 4 pretty big. They were like the, Leonard Skinner meets REO Speedwagon, which I think the singer's brother was the singer in Leonard Skinner. So yeah, I mean, I was jacked for, a guy who was just a gym dude. I think back then, I mean, I was squatting, 400 to 500 pounds. My bench was never great, but I was probably doing like 225, 6 to 10 times. So, and I was just, I probably would have been a good bodybuilder from the standpoint of I had good genetics. Like my legs are still big to this day. What up, Kip Smith? And I mean, my upper body probably would, I would have been like Tom Platt. So I have skinny arms, even though I curl a fairly heavy amount. Um, I have pretty big shoulders naturally. I'm big boned, so I have a frame that could put on muscle, but I had no interest in bodybuilding. I like 38 Special. I mean, The Sound of Your Voice is a good song. It's like, and that was a weird time for that kind of music. 91. Yeah, the tail end of the '80s metal scene happening, and then you had, like Guns N' Roses was kind of blowing up by then. I mean, they were putting out Use Your Illusion and a double album, and then you had, obviously Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Mother Love Bone and Alice in Chains and Soundgarden. So for a band like 38 Special, which is like a southern version of REO Speedwagon, it was I think that was like their last charting song. So I mean, I definitely all good, Kip Smith. Enjoy your games. Uh Yeah, I mean, I inherited my parents' bodies. Like my mom obviously never worked out a day in her life. She had these big thighs, like she could have been a bodybuilder because she was short. And then my dad's upper body was like my dad was not muscular. I don't think my dad literally was ever in a gym at all, but very physically strong. Like he could hit a golf ball farther than any pro, or not farther, but like he could hang with pro golfers in turn. My dad, I don't know if it's a record, but what hole is it? The 14th hole at Bel Air Country Club is well, it was back then 562 yards. I mean, it's a very long hole. And if you play it from the pro tees, because there's 3 sets of tees at Bel Air, women's, men's, and the pro tees, it's probably close to 600 yards. And I think my dad, for a very, very long time, was the only one to ever hit the green in 2. Now that might not have anything to do with weights, it's more technique, a golf swing, but um, so I inherited his upper body. Like I'm not incredibly muscular, but I'm not skinny either. I mean, it'll be interesting to see, well, raunchy and politically incorrect comedy and, shows like Kill Tony and even Roast Battle is still loitering around. If that makes a comeback. Did he ever beat OJ? I'm sure he played with OJ at some point. How many F bombs would your dad drop in a single round of golf? My dad was, he had a temper, to be honest with you, which is probably where I got my temper. Uh, you know, yeah, probably a couple, five to six. I mean, I remember once on the fourth hole at Bel Air, uh, it's a par four. I would say it's my memory's a little foggy. Probably about 450 yards, which, I never hit the ball far because my swing is basically a three-quarter swing, so I never really hit the ball far. I was like Cal Pete, I was accurate. And so there was a tree, a big oak tree on the right, and I was never so nervous in my life than playing the fourth hole at Bel Air because there was a gigantic beehive, and especially in the summer months, you could hear the bees buzzing. So it was almost like you were getting heckled by the bees. And I have, when I'm playing well in golf, I have a draw. So the ball goes right to left. So that tree, excuse me, was about 240 yards from the tee, which is right about where my ball starts to drop. So there were many times where my draw didn't quite draw enough. Basically, a draw is a hook, and it would hit the tree. So this one time, I was playing with my dad. The ball hits the tree and just drops right under the fucking beehive. And my dad might have told me to hurry the fuck up, and then he shanked his shot over the next fairway and threw his club from the base of that tree, basically, because we hit the ball about the same length to the green. So he threw it like 200 yards, and golf clubs aren't that heavy, but he was uh, scarily strong. Um, as a WWF Attitude fan, Steve Blackman was awesome. I low key hoped his Bounty series would work. If you remember that, yeah, I mean he was a legit badass. I mean, if you ask most wrestlers from that era who the baddest guys, and legit shoot guys were, they all say Haku was one, Blackman was two. Like no one pulled pranks on Blackman because they knew he'd kick their ass. Like JBL would not. JBL was kind of a bully. Like he would bully the Blue Meanie, but he wouldn't bully Blackman. I know. Well, I mean, it used to be right there in my Robin Crosby picture, but I don't. I think I reached out to Tawny's daughter, but she probably was like, "Who the fuck is this bozo?" But maybe she likes the picture. But Tawny's daughter probably has no idea who Robin Crosby is. So, um, yeah, I miss playing Bel Air. No, I don't think JBL would help AEW. By the way, I don't know when you tuned in, Steve. MVP followed me today. So it was a good day to be a wrestling fan in the Skakel household. So I miss playing Bel Air. Bel Air was a nice, uh, I mean, it's probably not a hard course for like Tiger Woods or something, but like for me, it was like some of the holes like I could do well on. And then, a couple holes like the 14th hole where I don't even think I got on the 14th hole in three. When will Stone Cold follow you? Well, he's got to, Hurt Locker for life. When will he's got to unblock me first. But you know what? Fuck him. If he doesn't have a sense of humor, like, come on, man. Like, you didn't, I mean, I'm not going so far as to say he killed Roddy, but like, I know the stress of hopping around from podcast to podcast studio didn't exactly help Roddy. Um, so it's just one of those things that you know Yeah, I mean, MVP's pretty fucking jacked, but MVP said he'd come to the Comedy Store, and I wanna film a vignette with him right outside my name on the wall where I'm asking for a manager, and then whoever's holding the phone just pans to him giving me his business card. That could go viral. Um, well, golfing at Bel Air was awesome because it was never really crowded, so you could play 18 in, like, 2.5 hours, and just a lot of childhood memories there for me. Like, if I ever, like, whatever, made it in comedy or whatever, won the lottery, the first thing I'm doing is buying a membership to Bel Air, and I would play there every day. Like, so many memories there. Like, um, I mean, probably my favorite story. One of my favorite, it might be my favorite celebrity story ever is, so when my parents moved to Florida in '88, my dad still kept the membership for me so I could go there and eat dinner and whatnot. I mean, the Bel Air burger, yum, 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 yum. And one night, I'm there Sunday night, we're watching football, and there was a huge table in front, like a Last Supper type of table, and probably had like 20 seats. And me and my two friends were the only ones there. We're watching football. I don't remember who was playing. And then Hank Stram, the coach, the coach of the Chiefs, sits down right next to us. Boys, how you doing? And we're just watching football. And my friend was, he's kind of fat, to be honest with you. And so he's pounding food. And I could see Hank Stram just staring at him in just awe of just the calories he's sucking down. And then my buddy orders a huge piece of chocolate cake. And it's as big as you'd think it would be at a country club. And Hank Stram gets up. He was leaving. And he taps my friend on the shoulder and goes, "Easy on that cake, cowboy." So, I don't know. I think, I went up there maybe about 5 to 10 years ago. I was invited to the Caddy Christmas party, and I was like, I just want to see what it's like up there now. And the membership, I didn't recognize one member. Like, uh, it's all like, tech guys, and they definitely let a lot more actors in now. Like, when I was going there in the 80s, um, in the very early 90s, they were kind of like, we don't want actors up here. You got James Garner, Jerry West, and Tom Harmon, the Michigan Heisman Trophy winner. So it's more old school. Ray Bolger from Wizard of Oz, like, so people like that. But nowadays, I think you have like uh, not Will Ferrell, but like Will Arnett and shit like that. Like back then, they would never let they didn't care. They didn't let Michael Jordan join. And I heard the next day Jordan was so pissed he joined like 7 other country clubs. But that was kind of the not the beauty, or maybe the allure's the wrong word, but that was kind of like the fucking, magic of Bel Air. Like they didn't care who you were. So my dad was treated better than Michael Jordan. So funny story about my dad and James Garner. I'm not sure if I've told this story before, but if you don't like the story, then I don't know. Go to Mersh's chat. Um, so my dad was supposed to play golf with James Garner. So my dad was a slob up there. I mean, my dad had diabetes, and in his warped thinking, he thought if he constantly fed himself chocolate bars, that would regulate his sugar. And so he had chocolate bars in every pocket of his golf bag, but he never took them out. So they were fucking melted by the time he got to them. So he would just like literally wipe the excess chocolate on his shirt. I mean, it looked like he had shit stains on his shirt. He'd show up there with his shirt inside out. Like he looked like a bum. And then, so he's in the parking valet, looking like he looks. And my dad was a model when he was, in his youth. So he was a good-looking guy, but like the Rodney Dangerfield character in Caddyshack. And James Garner pulls up, looks at my dad, and goes, "Take my clubs to the first tee, boy." And my dad had a great sense of humor, so he actually did it. So my dad's standing on the first tee, and if you've I don't think anyone's ever played golf at Bel Air in here, but like the first tee is what would it's you're facing south, and the tee is elevated, so you get this amazing view of the city, and it's a par five, but it's not a tough par five for a pro because it's only about 450 yards. Um, and so my dad's standing there. James Garner walks out. Yeah, I'm supposed to play golf with Jim Skakel, and he's late. He's like, no, I'm not. I'm right here. And then they became lifelong friends, at least golf friends. Um, did Deborah have the best puppies in the WWF during the Attitude Era? See, the Chicken Man knows wrestling. Uh, yeah, absolutely, 100%. Well, my dad was like an OG member. I think it was like $1,500 to join, and then the dues were probably a couple hundred, and then you have an account where so you don't it's like that scene in was it Goodfellas? When Ray Liotta tries to play cash at the club, they don't take cash, so um, you have an account, and then that was probably my dad's biggest mistake. I remember the first time he took me up to the country club. He's like, "If you ever need golf balls or anything, my account's 314." That was the account. And so, I had no fear of losing 100 golf balls in a round because I would just go to the pro shop. Yeah, can I get a dozen Titleists? Put 314. Um, so I mean, it was awesome up there. I mean, so many memories, in the caddy shack, the caddy. I mean, that was down there with all the gambling and the drugs they were doing. But now, I mean, I think I heard somewhere around 3 or 400 grand, and that's just the joint. You still got to pay the dues, which I would assume the dues are probably 2,500 a month, and that's not counting your bills. Like, so if you go up there on a Sunday night dinner, a date, or I mean, you don't really take a date there, but like if you went up there, just ate by yourself, it's probably $100 easily. Bel Air burger, and if you're drinking, it's easily at $100 to $200. So you do that a couple times a week, and you're buying golf balls and whatnot. You could easily hit 2 grand on your bar tab. So, it's you got to have a certain amount of money to play at Bel Air or LA Country Club or Riviera or Brentwood or in the Calabasas area. The big club is Sherwood, which Gretzky's a member there. I think Rob Riggle's a member there. People like that. So, well, I mean, I've never met. Yeah, that would be cool to play Kiss mini golf. I've never met Brock Lesnar. I heard he's kind of a dick, so I don't want to meet him. I mean, it not necessarily racist, but there wasn't a lot of black members. I think the one black member when I was there was a lawyer, and my dad was like, and I was like, "Dad, are there any Jewish members there?" And he's like, "None that admit it." I'm like, "Huh?" But there are like Jewish country clubs. Like back then, I'm sure with all the lawsuits that would be possible, you've got, I think Hillcrest is a heavily Jewish country club. I mean, LA Country Club, I don't know the membership breakdown there, but that's a great course because it's two 18-hole courses, a north and a south course. And if you ever drive down Wilshire in the West LA area, LA Country Club, basically in that one particular area right before Beverly Hills, is both sides of Wilshire are the north and south courses. So yeah, oh, thank you. The sound of your voice. I mean, it's a typical late '80s, early '90s video. I mean, uh, good-looking quarterback chasing the cheerleader, but the football scenes were brutal, man. Like I said, I was the smallest guy and I was big back then. Um, so yeah, I mean Hershey's. I mean, I can't tell you how many times uh, I would put my hand in my dad's bag to get like a golf ball or a tee and just come out. It looked like I had shit on my hands. And then I started looking like my dad because I was like, well, if my dad can do it, I'm Earl Skakel. I'm Jim Skakel's kid. Fuck it. Um, no, his go-to was Hershey. He loved Hershey. Uh, excuse me. I never met Annie Bonaducci. Never had any Michael Ironside stories. We'll go 10 more minutes, guys. Then I got to get ready for the Comedy Store. Thank you very much. So yeah, I mean, Michael Ironside, great character actor. He's up there. I mean, he was awesome in Top Gun. And obviously he could have been in I mean, literally he was RoboCop, but he was too big to fit in the costume. So and wasn't he in Iron Eagle, or am I going crazy? No, he wasn't in Iron Eagle, was he? I know who was in Iron Eagle, Comedy Store paid regular, the great Tim Thomerson. Thank you very much. I've always wanted to have him on the podcast, but he's like retired in La Jolla. So, of course, he was in one of my favorite war movies, maybe my favorite war movie of all time, Uncommon Valor. And I think he was in Who's Harry Crumb. He played the gigolo tennis instructor. Sorry, my bad. This isn't carbureted. My bad. Shout out to Jake Paul for that farce. Yes, Jason Gedrick. He was good in the first season of Bosch. I used to see him at Sports Club LA on Sepulveda, which, if you're a real LA OG, that used to be called Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's Sports Club in Sports Club LA. They wouldn't hire me to be a towel boy. Well, look who's laughing now, Janelle and Scott. I'll remember their names forever. You guys are probably selling meat out of a truck in Minnesota. And I'm a star. Sorry, I was just fucking around. But fuck Janelle and Scott. Yeah, I bet you do, Ross Dogs. Super chat me right now, 2,500. I'll give it back to you. But listen, when my friend who's a federal judge can't find Tex Cobb, he don't want to be found, brother. If you run into Fitzdog, don't bring up my big bro. He and Kev are playing phone tag. Well, your brother was out of control today. Oh yeah. I'll run it. Fitz is always nice to me. I mean, I don't really know him that well, to be honest with you, but he's always nice to me. And as you guys know, that's all I care about. So I might give my number to your brother, Peter, so I can get doxxed. I need the clout. I can only imagine the messages I would get. Poor Sarah. I don't really know her, but now she's got to fucking probably change her phone number and any updates on the special? No, I mean Pistol Pete Lazarus, who is one of the producers on the show of my special, he's got to work, so he got to take gigs. So it's not on hold. It's just and I talked today with someone who possibly could help me with the location. And listen, it's not completely shut down us doing it in my living room. But I would have to move everything out, which would be a total pain in the ass. Now, if I ever found another unit, a condo or a house to live in, what I could do is move all the furniture out. And the day after I have to turn in my keys to the new buyer, film the special. Old school. But so no updates. Believe me, you guys will know when the time is appropriate. So it's probably not going to happen until the new year, unfortunately. So it's going to be worth it. I'm not trying to sell you guys on it. I just, I've had 2 friends put out specials within the last month, and literally nobody talked about them because they were just standard specials done in a theater, done at a comedy club, and they were good. And just, it's like, there's so many specials now, and they all have the same format. And I'd rather not have one out than do that. So, any update on the Viagra energy drink? Well, I mean, ask Matt Gaetz. Apparently, he was crushing boner pills and Red Bulls. I mean, I would have voted for the guy. Boing. The only Gates I endorse is Link Gates, the missing link. Yeah, I mean, that Cobra intro was $1,000. You might think, well, huh? But we literally built a sound stage in a guy's garage, and he built a thing that, a swivel where that's why so it, just so the cost of a special is not cheap. I mean, if the intro costs $1,000, hiring. And I won't do a GoFundMe or shit like that. Fuck that. I'll pay for my own special, and then you guys can, you know, pay me for it on YouTube or whatever avenue I end up going with it. So yeah, Robert Patrick, he was in Sons of Anarchy. A lot of people don't realize that. He's one of the prolific character actors since Terminator 2, really, of the last 30 years. I mean, we got 4 minutes, guys. Hit the like button if you can. One of the preeminent character actors of the last 30 years. I mean, he's been a steadily working actor. I mean, and a lot of people don't realize he was in Die Hard 2 as one of the airport hitmen. And he's been, The Unit on CBS, Sons of Anarchy, X-Files. Yeah, I mean, he's like, speaking of Randy Stone, the X-Files. I was a Mitch Pileggi fan. He's another one that, he's been what movie was I watching? I think it was from '87. It wasn't a Death Wish. It was that Charles Bronson movie where his daughter gets killed by heroin, so he goes after the bad guys. Because Charles Bronson, he kind of had a few movies that could have been Death Wish movies, kind of like that Clint Eastwood movie, The Gauntlet, which is one of my favorite Clint Eastwood movies. I mean, The Gauntlet basically was a Dirty Harry movie, but for whatever reason, they didn't call it Dirty Harry. It was called The Gauntlet, and his name in The Gauntlet was Ben Shockley. And this, for Bronson, that movie, it was like '87. Let me look that up. I hate leaving you guys hanging. But let me see here. Charles Bronson movie. By the way, I have a great Charles Bronson movie. I'll end the stream with it because it has something to do with Bel Air Country Club. All right, hold on, guys. Sorry, I don't have a producer, so let me see. 19. Oh, I guess it was Death Wish 4, The Crackdown. Well, never mind then. I just rambled on for nothing. That was the movie where Kay Lenz, if you guys are fans of Kay Lenz. Dana Barron, who used to come into the gym I worked at, she was hot, man, for a kid. I mean, but I was a kid too, so it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. My Bel Air Country Club, Charles Bronson story. Michael Moriarty, great hockey movie he was in too. So the second hole at Bel Air is a par 4. It's not that far. It's about a 360-yard par 4. So if you're I think most pros, like John Daly, could probably hit the green from the tee. I mean, that'd be a fat drive. I mean, the men's tee or the pro tees, that's probably a 400-yard hole. But from the men's tees, John Daly could probably hit it. But the first house on the right is Charles Bronson's house. Me and my brothers, we took some bottle rockets and we started firing them off in the middle of the second fairway. And one of them goes into Charles Bronson's backyard. Now, I didn't know it was Charles Bronson's house at the time. So me and my brother start climbing the fence to get the bottle rocket back, and out walks Charles Bronson with, I believe, his sons with pool sticks, ready to kick ass. And I instantly was like, "Oh fuck, that's the Death Wish guy." And I was like, "Hey, Mr. Kersey, I'm sorry, my bottle rocket flew into your yard." He's like, "Don't let it happen again." Like, I actually called him Mr. Kersey. What the fuck? So I hope you guys enjoyed Tea Time with Earl. Death Wish 2 was good. I think the son from Happy Days was the bad guy. Um, yeah, I mean, John Daly don't fuck around, but he had Michael Moriarty had a hockey movie. Let me get it for you, where he injured a player, and it was a court case. Let me, I don't have an Adam Henniker, so I got to look up my own. I think it was in the early 70s, maybe. Let me see here. Let me get it for you. I mean, he's been in so many fucking things, hundreds of films, TV shows. Okay. So 71. Was it Bang the Drum Slowly? Fuck, it might have been a TV movie. Is that the Bang the Drum Slowly is a baseball movie, right? Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that. Shit. I know it was a hockey movie. Unless I'm going fucking nuts. Okay. So, A Summer Without Boys, The Last of the. I'm telling you, The Deadliest Season, maybe that's it. It's a TV movie. Yes, The Deadliest Season, 1977. Here's the synopsis of it, and then I got to go. Jerry Miller, a professional hockey player, gives in to internal and outside pressures and adopts a more aggressive style on the ice. During one particular violent game, a player on the opposite team dies, and the authorities charge Miller with manslaughter. Now, let's see who else was in The Deadly Season. The stream should be ending when I'm going over a Michael Moriarty movie. Meryl Streep was in it. Jill Eikenberry. Mason Adams. He's a very well-known character actor. Paul D'Amato from Slapshot, who played Tim Dr. Hook McCracken. Kevin Conway, who I think is a big voiceover guy. So not a amazing cast. I mean, in terms of well-known. Let me see all cast and crew. Let's see if there are any like famous hockey players. Not really. Jerry Reed, I don't think that's Patrick O'Neill. He was in a lot of shit. So yeah, not really a star-studded cast, but The Deadliest Season. I don't know. I'm assuming that's on YouTube or something somewhere. But yes, Tea Time with Earl. Maybe that's the new stream. The Deadliest Season. Yeah, well, sometimes I would love to show clips, not of the Dabbleverse, but just maybe I could pull up a clip of The Deadliest Season. But I don't know if that's Weezy Jefferson in the house. Thank you. No, those are some of my favorite Clint Eastwood movies. Yeah, hit the like button, you palming ghouls. Any Which Way You Can and Every Which Way But Loose. Great movies. One of my favorite endings is the first movie when the big fight with Philo Beto and Tank Murdoch is happening, and Clint Eastwood starts beating the shit out of Tank Murdoch, and you hear the crowd going, "Oh fuck, this is the new Tank Murdoch," and Clint Eastwood feels bad, so he throws the fight and lets Tank Murdoch win. I mean, those were kind of funny movies, action movies, with good fight scenes. Michael Talbot from Miami Vice, Switek from Miami Vice plays the cop in the second one. So Earl about to take late night kill at the store. I'm going to do my best. I don't know who George Petrie is. It's Denver Tank Murdoch. And the second one was pretty good. Clyde the Orangutan. I think they had to switch orangutans from the first to the second movie The first Clyde got too fucking big and was kinda dangerous. If you see Fitzdog tonight, tell him Danny and Peter Brennan say hi and not to get too mad at Kev. Well, I mean, I don't know. You're either in the Kevin Brennan corner or the Sarah Silverman corner. So once again, a big day in the Dabbleverse for doxing. I was getting calls at 7:30 in the morning. Hey, you got to go on Twitter, man. Kevin doxed Sarah Silverman. I'm like, dude, I don't care. I'm sleeping right now. And then I went on Twitter for about an hour to get the stink. I follow the stink. I put my finger in the air and I smell which way the wind is blowing. All right, guys, it's 10:40. I can't be late to go to the Comedy Store. Hit the like button. I don't know. Watch some of my short videos. Watch the Jesse Lee Peterson short. I need the numbers, baby doll. Watch the video I did of the guy that would be perfect for LA comedy, talking about liking young girls. Help me help you. Earl Skakel, over and out.